The following program contains explicit calls for clear thinking. If you suffer from emotionalism, Randall may not be right for you. Check with your romance novelist.
Speaking the truth when others hold their tongues. Wrestling for justice with left-wingers and crocodiles. Resisting the temptation to keep the peace at any price. The only talk show host who writes his own theme music, Randall Terry.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, your servant Randall. Yes, the uber wingnut. Not just a wingnut, an uber wingnut. With a great arm. I love you, and I'm so thankful you came. This show is going to be great. Associated Press takes Helen Thomas's seat in the White House briefing room, and Fox News takes Associated Press's seat, and NPR and Bloomberg both get to move, and it's ring around the posy in the White House briefing room. It's crazy! Also in today's news, we found birds, and tragedy has struck. I'm actually upset about this. If I start thinking about it, I might start crying. So let's go to the sponsors of today's program. Today's program brought to you in part by lifenews.com. Telling lies and distorting the truth for the sake of the pro-life movement. And by the 501c3 tax-exempt status. Bribing people to ignore the truth and to not say the truth for an entire generation. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, after a quick word from my friend, Sir Reginald Bling. Save the day, Reggie, save the day. Just turn it on, I got something to say. By now, everybody done heard that Elena Kagan compared the NRA to the Ku Klux Klan. Well, now that just shows the woman is plain stupid. However, I started thinking, what does the Ku Klux Klan stand for? That's right, discrimination against African Americans. They want to lynch them. They want to kill them, oppress them, and otherwise get rid of them. And what does Elena Kagan stand for? Well, you know it, that's right. Kill black babies by abortion. In fact, she stands for more of what the Ku Klux Klan stands for than most white people ever thought of in their whole life. Elena, baby girl, if there's anybody in the world that you ought to be comparing to the Ku Klux Klan, it's your own self. Welcome to the program, friend. We're going to have a very fascinating show today. I'm going to interview someone who's been on the front lines of the fight. And I'm going to change my address. I'm going to change my accent every other sentence. So the medication seems to be working and I'm feeling fine. All right, all kidding aside, we've got a big, big week for you. We have a lot of activism that's going to happen here in the Capitol. Kagan's so-called debate on the Senate floor is going to be forced into 1.5 days on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be down there with troops, tormenting the wicked, encouraging the just to grow a backbone. So there's a lot that's going to happen. And we found birds. So I think that before we go any further, we need to go ahead and do the bird segment. Wait, let me turn to the camera. Okay, ready, Andrew? In breaking news over the weekend, people found birds in my chimney. Actually, they thought that they were bats. That's why they came to get rid of them, and then it turns out that they were birds. Let's run the footage. It's heartbreaking. Go ahead. I'm here in our laundry room, and we're about to go into the garage where I'm going to feed the birds. Here's what happened. We had what we thought were bats in a chimney. They came, got in there, brought out a broken nest and 4 baby birds. They were teeny. This has been like 3 or 4 days ago. Over the weekend, basically. And we decided we've got to save their lives. So we're going to bring you day-by-day updates, day-by-day coverage of this incredible life-saving endeavor, saving the birds. And by the way, we don't even know what kind of birds they are. So are you ready, Andrew? We're going to go out, and there's going to be a screaming free-for-all because they only have enough strength to scream for food for about 10 seconds, and then they stop, and then I'm in trouble. So here we go. Hey guys, it's me. Worms and some green pea. All right, you guys are a little quieter today than I'd like you to be. Come on, open up. Let's go. Come on. Oh no, it's a tragedy has struck, ladies and gentlemen. The little guy died. My wife told me that, come on, eat, you gotta eat. Come on. Come on. My wife told me that one of them fell. I don't know what kind of birds they are. And then tragically, this little guy is definitely dead. He's not moving. Are you dead? Oh dear. He must have died in the night. I'll bring you an update daily. We've lost one of our birds. This is a bummer. All right, so there you have it. I actually am really grieved, really sad. And I just ask your prayers and your thoughts for us trying to save these birds. You know what's really pathetic is that people will pray for the birds, which is good. I mean, don't get me wrong, but there's babies dying 3,500 a day in America's abortion mills. By the way, speaking of babies, let's go to other news. There's a very large batch of little human infants being born here in the Washington, D.C. area. You might remember that last year in December and February, there was a lot of snow. Things were basically shut down. People couldn't even move. Well, they found things to occupy their times, and it resulted in lots of babies that are going to come out. In fact, yesterday, I was at church, and I'm looking around, and there's all of these 6-month pregnant women. I was actually shocked. And I thought to myself, what is, and then I went, oh, the snowstorm. So thank God for snowstorms. Because of you, snowstorms, the human race will continue. In other news, Associated Press moves up to Helen Thomas. And see, I'm not going to repeat the whole thing. Basically, Helen Thomas successfully suppressed violent anti-Semitism for decades. And then in a moment of weakness, perhaps it was brought on by some type of old age, she spewed it all out, saying that the Jews ought to go home. Leave Palestine and go home. Where's home? Europe, Germany, France. Why didn't she just say, there's nice ovens waiting for you there? Anyway, finally, Helen Thomas's seat is going to be given to Associated Press, the longtime venerable news association, and Fox moves to the front row because of their long service to the country, and they do so many live stand-ups from the White House. Fox got the front row seat that Associated Press used to have. Basically, it's insider baseball. Nobody cares, okay? We care that we get accurate news, and that's why we have this show. Now, when we come back from this break, I'm going to have somebody in studio who has been literally for months on the front lines of the culture wars in states fighting for a personhood amendment to the state constitution. If you don't know what it is, you're going to love it. And those of you that pretend that you're real news sources, are you listening to me, Life News? You should watch this because you might actually find a real story. Anyway, I'll be right back with a guest. A guest? Do we have the technology to pull this off, Andrew?
From my friends of the past, Abe Lincoln is a favorite of mine. One day he told me that he would have really liked to have had Randall's hair. Now that surprised me.
Moments with Moses. You shall put the inhabitants of the city to the sword, destroying it utterly, all who are in it, and its cattle, with the edge of the sword.
Welcome back to the program, friend. It is I, your servant Randall, the philosophical, cultural, political arms dealer for the right-hand side of your brain. And in the culture wars, in my opinion, one of the biggest, best bright spots in the whole nation is the movement to put personhood amendments on state ballots. It's exciting. It's a way that we can basically say to the federal government, get away from us. We're going to protect our unborn children in our state, even if you people who support Roe versus Wade won't. Now, joining me in studio is a megastar in this movement, somebody who is the dread of hell itself. That second part is true about hell, but he's never been on a TV show before. Are you nervous, Bill?
Very nervous, thank you.
Bill Key. Bill, I want you to know that before this segment is over, you're going to wish you had not been on this show.
I believe you.
All right. Bill, you've literally spent months on the ground in several states. What states have you been in?
Well, we've been in Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, and Colorado.
All right, so you've been in 4 fights.
That's correct.
2 wins, 2 losses?
Well, 4 wins. 2 are on the ballot, but they're all wins when you're in the state.
Ooh, all right. So, ladies and gentlemen, look at the political spin he puts on a defeat. You're going to go a long way in this movement, Bill. All right. Tell us, all kidding aside, I really love the personhood amendment movement. I think what you guys are doing is phenomenal. Tell the viewer the essence of it.
Well, the essence is basically, as you stated, state by state, we're going to end abortion. We're going to end all abortion, not just surgical, chemical. We'll end the morning after pill. We'll end abortifacient contraceptives. We will end all baby killing in each state, state by state.
All right, so there's language. Every state has its own language.
Everyone does, and again, we try to standardize because our enemies, the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, etc., and some of the various right-to-life groups come after us. So we have to get our language exactly right that matches.
Hold on
the
one
state.
second. Before we talk about the language, did you just say right-to-life groups?
Right-to-life groups. Now,
Wait,
there are
breaking
exceptions.
news, ladies and gentlemen. So-called pro-life groups opposing pro-life work. You've heard about it on this show. Tell people exactly what you mean.
Well, for instance, in Missouri, when we went in, Eagle Forum came against us. The Missouri Right to Life group came against us. Various other groups came against us. They had meetings with the person that was leading Missouri saying, why are you doing this? Have you had a leave of, is your mind gone? Why are you doing this? And
Hey,
basically,
fat, lazy people, and I use that in the rhetorical sense. In Missouri, you so-called pro-lifers, here's the best thing you could do for the movement. Get out. Resign. Stop sucking the financial lifeblood and man hours into your pathetic wormholes. Back to you, Bill.
Thank you, Randall. So I think they're content to maybe save 1 baby out of 100, but personhood's going to save 100 out of 100.
But why did they oppose you?
They opposed us because they didn't think of it, because they're used to doing things as they've done them for 37 years and failed for 37 years, and they simply can't get out of the mold. They've got large organizations, is my guess, and it's difficult to switch gears. But for whatever reason, they're opposing us, even though we have the one plan at a state-by-state level that will end abortion.
All right, quickly read the language from, say, Colorado.
Colorado says the term person shall apply to every human being from the beginning of the biological development of that human being. So
That's it.
That's exactly
That's it.
And it's to amend the Constitution so when it's on, the laws of the state will protect that baby from the very first moment.
All right, read Mississippi.
Mississippi says the term person or persons shall include every human being from the moment of fertilization, cloning, or the functional equivalent thereof. Because nowadays it's not just, that's it. Very simple.
So, folks, basically this is an attempt to get into the state constitutions that says an unborn child from the moment of conception is a human being, a person to be protected by law.
That's exactly right.
And now let me get this straight. You have pro-life groups opposing you.
Most pro-life groups.
Now, how about bishops? Surely the Catholic bishops upholding the teachings of the church, they were right there in your corner, right?
Wrong. We had one bishop in Oregon, Bishop Vasa, wonderful person and understood from the beginning that this was the way to end abortion. To date, he's the only bishop that we've come into contact with that I know of who has accepted that. All the others are sticking to what they've done for 37 years, and I won't go into that.
Which is basically nothing. Most of them, it's nothing.
And they're sticking to that, and they're discouraging Catholics from voting for personhood. So in the states where we've just barely lost, in the sense of Wyoming, we had 54,000 signatures and we needed 48, but some were tossed out. We have a loss, and we're going to have abortion in states because of the inaction of the Catholic bishops.
All right, I've got to go back to a commercial. Bill, I look forward to having you again.
Thank you, Randall.
Keep up the fight.
It's a
Is there any
pleasure.
place that people can contact you if they want it and to learn more?
Well, the www.personhoodusa.com would be a good place to do it.
Personhoodusa.com.
That's correct.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a break, but I want to pledge to you now, in the presence of God and His holy angels, that we will continue to help in the fight for personhood. I believe it's really the brightest spot on the political horizon. But perhaps more importantly, we're going to root out, expose, confront collaborators. Okay? Collaborators with the child killers in Missouri, in Colorado, in Mississippi, Catholic bishops who are betraying the teachings of the church, committing sins of omission. That's when you don't do something that you should do. That's what this is about, and it disgusts me. These are the people, by the way, that good pro-lifers are giving money to so that they can help the baby killers. God forgive us. I'll take a break. I'll be right back.
We have got to name names in this battle. That is the history, that is the theology of the church. And if the IRS says, no, you can't name a name, you have to decide at that minute, who is the Lord of your tongue? Who is the Lord of your pen? Who is the Lord of the gospel? Is it Jesus or the IRS?
If we are together, nothing is impossible. If we are divided, all will fail. Sir Winston Churchill. Welcome back to the program. I'm so glad that Bill could be here. And I want to say something to Catholic bishops, to pro-life groups in Missouri, Wyoming. Listen to me. Please, from your greatness, would you please help us in our fight against the babies? We know that you're so wise and prudent that you've cut a deal with the damnable devil, and there's wisdom behind what you do. I know there is. We need to keep doing everything we've been doing for 37 years so we can have 37 more years of dead babies. All right, let's stop that. Listen to me. The fact of the matter is, 501c3, tax-exempt status, is a deal with the devil. All right? There is a love of reputation and a fear of conflict that produces a deal with the devil. And by the way, when I say devil, I use that word with surgical precision. I mean an actual spirit being called Lucifer, okay? Randall, are you saying that Catholic bishops and pro-life groups have cut a deal with Lucifer? Yes. I'm not saying it's a Faustian deal where they, cut themselves and with their own blood sign a deal. But the truth of the matter is it's very subtle. Here's how it works. You take a tax-exempt status from the government, okay? Yes, sir. And that means that you can get more money, you can raise money. Okay, Uncle Sam, I'll do what you want. The only thing I ask of you is that you never talk about a political campaign, okay? And you only use 5% of your budget to lobby on key issues, like personhood amendment, or like stopping Elena Kagan. Hello, Priests for Life. Hello, Americans United for Life. That's the deal with the devil. For money, they have said, all right, we won't talk about these things as long as we can raise more money. We'll put a muzzle on our face and not say the truth as long as you give us money. It's bribed silence, and it is a deal with the devil. And the other one is the love of reputation, and the fear of controversy. It's a deal with the devil. If you want to serve God, you have to take up your cross. You have to die to yourself. You have to die to your reputation. You have to be willing to be a fool for Christ. You have to be willing to go with him outside the city gate bearing his reproach. These people want honor. Come and sing my praises. Look at how wonderful and prudent and wise and respectable I am. It's an abomination in the sight of God. Blood on the hands of pro-life groups, blood on the hands of so-called pro-life bishops because of their sins of omission. It'll be a dreadful day when those babies look you in the face and say, why didn't you help people like Bill Key when he was trying to help us? Why did you fight against him? Why wouldn't you help him? I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. Then the anger of the Lord was kindled against his people, and he abhorred his heritage. He gave them into the hand of the nations, so that those who hated them ruled over them. Their enemies oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their power. Thomas Jefferson said, and again I quote, "As our enemies have found, we can reason like men. So now let us show them we can fight like men also." Do you understand that politics is war by another means? We are called to fight in the political arena. And have you ever thought that if our founding fathers had the fear and the pusillanimous of a slave spirit that embodies the bishops of America and the so-called pro-life leaders of America, you understand we would have never had a free nation? We are called to be the church militant. That means we are called to be militant. Go ahead, friend, be brave, be militant. I'm going to ask one of my sons to chomp the worms into itty-bitty pieces, and then we'll put them inside of the dropper and feed the birds with them. Okay, not really on that last part, but we are going to try and save the birds. So this is day 1 in the Rescue the Bird mission.